We'll give everybody a couple minutes to see who joins. Excuse me. All right, it's 6 o'clock, so let's get started. Good evening, everyone who's joined us. Thank you for joining our virtual Q&A to talk about the CARES grants that we're working on right now. My name is Eric Giewis. I'm the Director of Marketing and Public Relations for Silver Star. With us tonight is Alan Hoops, our CEO, Barbara Sessions, our Vice President and COO, and Rob Heiner, our Engineering Supervisor. So we encourage you throughout this hour to go ahead and submit your questions. We'll be happy to answer as many as we can. But to get started, Alan, could you tell us a little bit about what the CARES Act is all about?
The CARES Act, that's an acronym for the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act that was enacted earlier this year by Congress. Wyoming was the recipient of that act, of the state of Wyoming, and the CARES Act was to provide fast and direct economic assistance for American workers, families, small businesses, and to preserve jobs for American industries. Wyoming received these funds through the Business Council, Wyoming Business Council. $100 million was allocated for broadband projects within the state, and Wyoming, or Silver Star, was a recipient of approximately $14.5 million of those funds.
And then there's an additional $2.5 million that we're actually participating in as part of this project.
Correct. Silver Star actually invested $2.5 million of its own dollars as a match, a 15% match with those funds, to provide a total of $17 million for the project.
Great. Thanks, Ellen. Barb, can you tell us what this means for Southern Star Valley?
Sure. So I want to start by saying this grant is really unprecedented. This is going to allow us to take fiber connectivity to about 2,700 of our business customers and our residential customers in the Upper Valley. This is really going to give our customers access to telehealth, remote learning opportunities, as well as telecommute opportunities. You want to talk about economic development. This is really going to create an opportunity for businesses to participate on a global level. We have people calling us weekly to find out where they can access fiber in the Star Valley market. And so this is going to allow our businesses and our overall economy in our communities to really grow and thrive as people are able to live in areas where they wouldn't perhaps traditionally be able to and work remotely.
Right. So what's so great about Fiberbar?
So I touched on it a little bit. It really is kind of the great equalizer if you want to talk about urban and rural settings from a business perspective. But if you think about the growth in technology, fiber really allows you to future-proof your home or your business from the perspective of what may be coming down the road in 3 to 5 years. We don't know, but fiber really allows you to kind of grow along with those technologies. And so future-proofing your business is critical. If you think about the fiber and how it can add to the value of your home, these are all kind of things that you won't get with other technologies.
You know, I was thinking about this today, and someone asked about the difference between the way in which we deliver broadband services, and one of them is fixed wireless, which is kind of the equivalent of riding a bicycle. And another one is DSL, which is copper, and that's more like a fast go-kart. And fiber is more like driving a Ferrari. So it's really ultimate internet speed.
Yeah.
And it's really only limited to the equipment on the end of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really is future-proofing, as Barbara said, our network and capacity to the home. So as the need for greater bandwidth arrives, we can just change out the equipment if needed and offer much higher bandwidth speeds. So,
yeah. Great. So, Rob, maybe you could explain to the folks here, we had some, I guess what we call ACAM projects, and we won't get into all the terminology right now, but it's really a multi-year set of projects that we've been working on, where we've committed a $100 million investment over 10 years, which we'd like to finish sooner. But with this new CARES grant, how is that going to affect what we're doing in some of these other areas that we were working on before the grant came along?
sure. Great question. So, yeah, as far as getting the ACAM overbuilds completed, that is our priority. But due to this unprecedented opportunity, we were able to get funds to build out the Upper Star Valley area. And in doing so, obviously, we only have a limited amount of resources to get that completed. And so, obviously, it's going to affect what we're able to do in the ACAM overbuild. The positive note to it, it will make it possible so that we'll be able to double down next year and the following years in these build outs in the lower valley and other areas. So it really will still be built out in the same time frame. We just really have to focus on getting this done because of the time sensitive issue with it. We really have to have it completed by the end of December or we lose that money. So that's really where our focus is right now. We may do some of the ACAM builds, but it really will be limited, if any. So just depending on resources.
Thanks, Rob. So we've had some questions coming in, and we're going to start with how do I find out whether I'm eligible for free fiber installation?
So let's take a look at SilverStar's website. And if any of you have been to our website, silverstar.com, you've seen the fiber finder. And let's go ahead and select that, Rob. You can go to our website. There's a couple different things you can do here. You can actually just click on an area. So if we click on the Afton area, you'll actually see a map that's going to come up. And this is going to show you the boundaries of where this grant is applicable. So if you zoom in, you can play around with that. You can see that it's really that northern Auburn turnoff down to the southern area in Smoot. This will allow you to kind of look at where you live, where your business is, and see if you're in the eligible area. It's really important. You might have noticed at the top of this web page that there's different stages of the project build. Sorry, Rob, if you don't mind going to the top of that page. It's really important that we get you registered and get your email. This is going to allow us to send you automatic email updates when we move from one phase of the project to the next. You'll see there's a sign-up phase, the pre-construction phase, construction phase, and then the scheduled installs phase. Once your area moves to these different phases, you'll actually get an automated email. So it's really critical as you go through the process to go in there and to sign up. The other way that you can look at this is to just place your address into the house number. Now we've picked one, 1401 Dry Creek Road. This particular address gives us a couple of different examples that we want to talk about. The first is that it's really important to be generic. Now this address is actually out in the Osmond area, but for mailing purposes, it uses the Afton zip code. So as you go into this, if you can't find your address, it's really important that you use both, maybe either the Osmond zip code or the Afton zip code. Just try a couple. The other thing I want to point out is that 1401 is actually Dry Creek Road, but it's referred to here as County Road 146. So if you live on an area like I do on Dry Creek, it's important that you try both of those addresses as well. You can be very generic and just put in the 1401, and that will actually pull up everything associated with that number.
Great. So if anybody has any issues while going through this process, please call our customer service folks at 883-2411 and they can walk you through it. So given the fact that this has to be done by the end of this year, it's pretty critical. How critical is it, Alan?
It's very critical because all this project is associated with the CARES grants. Those funds expire at the end of December of 2020. So construction does need to be completed this year. So the sooner you can sign up, the better. Our preference would be that you sign up by the end of September so that we can get going on the construction, because as you all know, in Star Valley, the winter's coming very soon, and that will begin to limit our construction opportunities. So we'd love you to sign up as soon as possible, no later than the end of September.
Yeah, we got a sneak peek of that this week.
We did.
So Barb, one of the other questions that came in is what kind of precautions are we taking because of the COVID pandemic during summer construction to protect homeowners?
Right. We're all extremely aware of the requirements for social distancing and then the protective equipment. Silver Star thinks it's very important not just to protect our employees, but also our customers, obviously. So we're doing our part. We do need to gain access to your homes as part of the installation process. If you don't sign up, we'll be sending people out to come visit you door to door. So we want to make sure that you're comfortable and we're comfortable. When we come door to door, we'll try and maintain our social distancing. We'll be wearing our face masks. When we come into your home, we'll be asking you if there's anyone in the home that's sick. It's okay if there is, we'll reschedule. We just want to make sure that our staff remains safe as well. So we want everyone to feel comfortable, and we want you to know that we're doing our part as well.
Yeah, we have very few cases in our area, but we want to make sure we're taking every precaution and keeping both you and our employees safe. Thanks, Barb. So can you talk a little bit, Barb, about what this funding covers exactly?
Sure. So the Wyoming Business Grant, as Alan stated, will cover 85% of the construction costs. It also covers the electronics that will go inside the home. Silver Star will be covering the other 15%. What this does not cover is the ongoing operating expense and the cost of the monthly service. Per the requirements of the grants, we have to take everyone to a minimum of 25.3 for speeds. And we do know that we have some fixed wireless customers that are actually on plans that are less than that. So we will be increasing those speeds as part of this as well.
So along those same lines, I mean, as far as constructing to the home, what it also includes, just to reiterate, is the drop being plowed to the home, the main cable in the county or state right of way, and then, as Barbara said, the optical network termination and the router inside the home. Obviously, there's very many different scenarios where someone may want walls traced and everything else to try to disguise the wiring that may need to be added. Some of that can be very time extensive and would require some additional costs from, or potential costs from, the homeowner. But generally the cost is covered to get the optical network device in the home and the router placed and the service turned up.
That's right. So I just want to remind everybody watching, if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them, and I think we'll have time to answer questions once we get through some of these other questions here. One of the questions that came in, Rob, is how do I protect my private utilities during construction? Maybe explain the difference between private and not private.
Okay, so when we come to construct your drop, what we're doing is after you sign up and go through the process that Barbara walked you through, we will come in and we will white line the best route that we see to your home. And really where that route goes is from your power meter on the outside of your home to our handhole, or the new handhole we're placing out in the right of way. And we just take a look at what we deem the best route, the most cost-effective route, and that's where we put the white line. After we do that, we call them locates. And when we call them locates, that notifies basically the public utilities, so power, Low Rally Energy, and also the gas company, the city, municipality, water, sewer, that type of thing. They only locate to that power meter or to the demarc where they maintain that service. So things like power to your well, power to a shop, power to other things on your property, sprinkler systems, sewer lines that are private where you have a septic tank, those things aren't located. And so those are considered private utilities. So what it requires is the homeowner to identify where those things are at and mark them so that we can hand dig over them and protect their facility. If they cannot tell us where they're at, we cannot hold the contractor responsible if they hit those things. They just have no way of knowing they're there. So it's really important that as people come home and they see these white lines and there's a door hanger on their door that says to call us if there's any concerns or questions, that if there's something in that vicinity that is of concern, that they call us or at least mark it so that we can avoid it as we plow those drops in.
One thing that's important to add that I forgot to mention during the registration process, you're actually going to get a form that will ask you to give us permission to actually place that white line on your property and do the construction, as well as it'll address these private utilities, making sure that they're located, and some landscaping items that I think Rob will go into here in a minute.
Sure. We will do our best to avoid everything, but it is difficult if we don't have it located.
So I guess to add to that, another question came in around whether it's possible to change that location that you were talking about, going from the street to the home.
Absolutely. So there's several different options. National Electric Code requires us to ground to the power meter or the MGN on the outside of the home. That's where we would prefer to be just because of the code. If there's no way to get to that because of a deck or paving or asphalt or whatever, concrete, whatever the case may be, we do have other options. We have to obviously place some grounding and connect back to that. So it may require some wiring on the outside of the home. That's really why we would like to be there if at all possible. But we realize in some cases it just isn't. So
yeah. So it depends on the situation.
Absolutely.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Ellen, we've got a few people asking, can they get fiber built to an empty lot?
The answer is no, because of the way this grant was structured. It's specifically to serve locations that are occupied. So there needs to be an insulated structure on the property to house either a router and optical network terminal. So again, the answer is no.
Okay. Well, it's a fair answer. So Barb, we've had several the same question coming in around whether or not someone's monthly bill might go up.
Yeah.
Could you address that one?
Sure, thanks. So as I mentioned before, part of the grant requirement is that we take all of our customers who are participating in this to 25.3. We know we have some plans that are under that. 25.3 would be a minimum plan that I think we would be able to offer as part of the CARES grant. But honestly, we really need to push more along the lines of that 50 meg with the different technologies, the way that TV stream, all of the connected devices in the home. 25.3 is really the bare minimum I think that anyone would want. 50 meg is more along the lines of a really good user experience. So there will be some increase in plans for those customers, for some customers who don't have 25.3 plans. And there is a great opportunity for those who want more speed to take more. And I would strongly encourage that.
So I just wanted to make sure folks understand, when we say 25.3, we're talking about 25 megabytes per second download speeds and 3 upload speeds, just so we can clarify that.
Thank you.
Just to also add to what Barb was saying, the network we're building under this grant is capable for multi-gig services. So, I mean, it's really wide open to what a customer would like and need. to operate. So,
That's really where the scalability and future proof comes in.
yes.
So again, folks, please feel free to submit your questions if you have any questions that we haven't answered yet. We have a few more questions that we're going to get through here that are pretty common questions. One is, will this affect my Wi-Fi?
You bet. The routers that we're placing in the home are pretty significant routers. They have several antennas, and it's just an overall really good product. So even if you already have a device in your home, we really believe that this is going to enhance your Wi-Fi experience. Our techs are going to come in, they're going to optimize. You will be able to have access with this to network security, which is really important. You'll have the ability to purchase add-ons such as Parental Controls. So absolutely, this is really going to enhance the user experience.
One thing we haven't talked about that I'll just throw out there because it's going to become more of a common term, but this equipment is also Wi-Fi 6 capable. And as new internet connected devices start coming out, they're going to be Wi-Fi 6 enabled. And so I think it's important that we've got this in place in front of those internet connected devices. One of the benefits of that too is it really, it keeps it from draining the batteries on your devices as well. So there's some real benefits to that.
Along those same lines, I think that just reiterating that we do optimize the Wi-Fi signal when we come into the home. That's our goal. When the technician leaves and we have this new system inside their home, they have a really good user experience. So our goal is to have the technician walk around with their device and check the Wi-Fi signal and potentially help the customer understand what they may need to do to add access points to have this user experience that's desired.
Well, now that we've determined that this is the optimal user experience, we got a question that came in that says, what if I don't want fiber delivered to my home? Who wants to take that one on?
I'll take a shot at it.
Okay.
Basically, you are able to opt out of the construction delivery and not have other services delivered. But as Barb stated earlier, there's a lot of value in having a drop placed to your home, even if you're not going to use it. Maybe you're older and you think your family's someday going to have your house. There's going to be significant value to having that drop placed, even if you're not going to take the service to your home. So I would certainly encourage you to consider that. As we've been talking about tonight, it future-proofs your home probably for the next 30 to 40 years because technology can be changed on the end of that fiber to change the speed without a change in the facility.
Well, and I think the other thing to mention is you talked about the value of the home. There's been some studies out there that say your home value could go up as much as 3%, which isn't insignificant.
Yeah. I guess the other point that was made earlier too is that if you do opt out, there will not be funds available to do this construction at a later time after December 31 of 2020. The grant funds will have expired and gone away, and you will ultimately have to pay for that construction at a later date from the street or wherever into your home. Whereas today, those services will be paid for by the grant.
I think it's probably a good time to mention as well that you may be a renter and you may really want our service, and that's great. We want you to be connected, but you will need the landowner's permission to do that. So if you're in that situation, reach out to us and we can help facilitate or have your landlord go in and get signed up.
Good deal. So when someone signs up, I should say, is there a contract involved with signing up for service?
There is not. SilverStar does not have contracts for our services. We believe that we'll just do you a great job and you'll want to stay.
Good deal. So another question, Rob, for you that came in is, does the homeowner need to be home for construction on their property?
That's totally up to them. I mean, if they would like to be there as we're constructing, that would be fine. We can do it without them there. Really, with the line marked and the locates being done, if there's something that's concerning and they have to go to work, they can notify us beforehand. We can meet with them. We can talk them through it. If they would like to be there, they're more than welcome to be there. So it's really up to the homeowner.
With that being said, during the installation process, as I mentioned before, the homeowner does need to be there so that we can have access to their home.
Right. Great point. So the construction process, like Barbara says, from the right of way to the home does not have to be, they don't have to be there for that, but they absolutely have to be there for.
Just so people understand, what we're doing here is constructing main cable along the road. And then we do what's called a fiber drop from the road to your home. So we call that a drop. So we use that term a lot just so you know what it means. And then the service installation is when you actually sign up for service and get the internet turned up. Let's see what else has come in. So after they sign up, Rob, how quickly can they get internet service turned up?
So that really depends.
Trick question.
Yes. Obviously, to build this out, there's a lot of components. There's a network element where we have to put some new equipment in. There's the backhaul, the transport. So basically placing a fiber route that can haul that traffic back to our core network. And so there's a lot of elements to it. And then there's the drop piece. So it just really depends on where you're located, and it'll be different times. I mean, they may have a drop for a significant amount of time before it's actually turned up, but we really have to have this operational before the end of this year. So as Alan stated earlier, we will have everyone turned up by the end of the year. We just, due to the number of customers that we have to turn up, we're going to turn up as many of them as quickly as we can to try to spread that out over the next few months. So
I think it's important to note, as you mentioned, Alan, this funding period ends on December 31st. However, because of this whole process, we can't have people calling us or filling out the form on December 30th.
Yeah.
We really need folks to sign up by the end of September in order for this to flow through and work through the end of December.
absolutely. Good point.
So another question came in that says, what if I'm not eligible for the CARES Act funding? So that would be within the map area that you showed us earlier. Will the internet experience still stay the same?
No, the internet experience should be much better. Obviously, especially if you're a Canopy customer right now. A fixed wireless customer currently, the way it works, they all share the same backhaul from a tower. And so as we unload people off of that system, it should greatly improve your service if you remain on Canopy. So our goal is to get everyone we can cut off of Canopy and onto the fiber network. Obviously, it's a huge undertaking for the short time we have with the winter quickly approaching. So our goal is to spend the funds that we have within the area that's designated on that map, get everyone possible turned up that we can. And the people that we can will hopefully have a much better user experience on the fixed wireless. So
I also think it's important to comment that we know that there are people who are going to have to be on the Canopy system or fixed wireless system due to the long drop or perhaps they're out of the CARES area. Our engineers are looking at designing a offering that would actually allow us to increase those service plans. Today, the maximum that our customers can get is 20 meg. We know that we want everybody to get as fast as speeds as they can. So our engineers will be designing something that hopefully can provide some additional speeds as well.
So I think you answered some of this question, but a question came in about what the construction process is like. And I think we kind of addressed that already, but what can someone expect in terms of their yard after we do this?
Okay, good question. So obviously we have to put a piece of equipment on your lawn to put this drop in. It is not an open trench like you would think for a water line or a sewer line. It's actually stitched in with a cable plow That being said, if there's a utility or something we have to cross, we will have to pothole, either hand dig or dig that with a piece of equipment. So obviously the disturbance where the equipment is going to be around 6 feet to probably 10 feet wide. Where the cable's placed will roll down pretty well once it's plowed through there. But as part of the grant, really, we asked the homeowner to reseed. So our expectation is that we will bring the fiber in. We'll do the best we can to clean up the rocks and put a little topsoil if needed down. But it's really the customer's responsibility to reseed and water that until it grows back. So it's kind of their part of getting fiber to their home. So.
Well, we haven't had any more questions come in, and I know we have this scheduled from 6 to 7, so let's give it a couple minutes and maybe see if anyone else has any additional questions or if there's anything any of you'd like to add.
I think it's just really important that you talk to your neighbors, you talk to your parents. As I've been out in the community, a lot of people know, but there are some who don't. And so please spread the word. It's really critical that we get as much and as many people signed up as possible. Again, we're on a budget and we're on a time frame. And as everyone knows, it snowed yesterday. And so we're getting a little nervous on our end, but we really are excited about the opportunity that this is going to bring to our community. And we want to get as many people signed up and share this with them as possible.
So one thing I was thinking about, Barbara mentioned the long drops a little while back, and there are a lot of these drops and maybe a house here or there that are very far off the path up in these canyons, and that add additional complications to getting service to them. So our real focus is to get as many people possible on the network, which we discussed earlier, but some of those really long drops may get done, but they are really going to be more of a focus later in the project. So just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that.
I think also, as Barbara mentioned, you may know people that maybe didn't even come to Star Valley this year for some reason, maybe because of COVID or something, but they have property here. So, whatever you can do, if you would make them aware of what's going on, if they haven't heard about the grant, as was said earlier, landlords, if you're a renter and maybe your landlord's out of Star Valley, they don't live here, but they have a home here and you're renting from them. The sooner you can notify your landlord or somebody out of the area about the opportunity, the quicker we can facilitate helping them get signed up and making those funds available for this project.
I'm not saying this lightly, but this really is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I'm not saying anything good has come from the COVID pandemic, but this is one of them, I think, that has come from it. That's really going to help a lot of people out and really help with working from home, learning from home, having access to things like telehealth, as Barb mentioned earlier. And it's just an incredible opportunity. So to pass it up, I really encourage folks to not pass it up. Let's see if we get any more questions coming in. While we're waiting for a minute, as a relative newbie to Star Valley, one of the things that was confusing, and if there's anybody newer to the valley here, we tend to talk about the southern part of Star Valley as the upper valley, because the elevation is higher than the lower valley, which is the northern part of the valley. So we've had some questions come in saying, is the upper valley the northern part of the valley? So I think it's important for those of us who haven't been here a long, long time that you understand what that means.
Yeah.
I'll just mention now that this is being recorded and it will be available on Facebook as well as silverstar.com. So you can pass it along and encourage others to watch it. If you do have any other questions after this broadcast, please feel free to go to silverstar.com and go to our Contact Us page. and fill out a form with any questions. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll find a form there. If we don't know the answer right away, we'll research it and get back to you. Otherwise, we'll respond to you pretty immediately. So I don't know that I have anything to add tonight. We may have to cut this a little short, only because we got through a lot of information very quickly. I'll wait another minute or two to see if any other questions come in. Oh, looks like we have some more questions. So I think we kind of addressed this earlier. Will I be forced to switch? But I think one of the important things to understand is if you don't switch, at some point in time, the existing DSL and parts of our fixed wireless network are going to be turned down.
I think it's important to know, and thank you, that is a good question, that maintaining several networks can be very expensive, and we want to make sure that we keep our costs low and our service plans low. And so it will be necessary at some point to turn off a portion of the fixed wireless. We'll probably need to maintain some of that for those customers who are out in the outer areas. But our copper facilities in the Afton market will be turned down at some point. We don't have a date at this point, but we know that that will be the case in the future.
So another question that came in is, do we offer installation appointments in the evening? And would I have a say where I want my fiber placed from the road to my house? So we talked about that one a little bit, but about the evening appointments?
We will. So we'll be having technicians that will be working Monday through Saturday, and they'll be working in the mornings through the evenings to accommodate people's work schedule.
Well, I was just going to say, akin to that, when will the other services be turned off? I think that's a little bit to be determined, but
correct.
Yeah.
So as far as the route change, we just had one that came in that customer said, I'm going to build a garage here. So we went out and we painted white line, and we were getting ready to plow it in. We called in locates, our contractor did, and we got a call from the homeowner saying, I'm going to build a garage right where you're putting the white line or where you're putting the fiber. So those are kinds of things that, yeah, absolutely. If we have input from the customer, we will change the route, things that we may not be aware of previous to the staking. So
To add on to that, we've talked a lot about contractors. We're going to have a lot of contractors in the area, and we want to make sure that, again, that our customers are safe. So they will be marked. If we don't want anyone to go out and represent themselves as Silver Star that isn't, and so we want to make sure that our contractors are well marked, and that our customers know that will be the case.
A question came in. I'll give this one to you, Alan. Is fiber compatible with 5G? There's a lot of 5G buzz going on around the world right
Yes,
now.
there is. I hear 5G every day on the news or from some carrier talking about it. The answer is 5G is a wireless technology, and most 5G is fed by fiber. But 5G is largely more of an urban technology because 5G uses a lot of different frequencies, and they're combined in your device using multiple frequencies. The typical 5G node is only about a block to a block and a half long. So if 5G someday may be in Afton, but it would only be probably largely in there might be 4 or 5 nodes in the town of Afton, but it's not practical to build 5G out in a rural area because each of those nodes has to be fed by fiber. So certainly fiber enhances 5G and it can't function without it, but 5G is not a replacement for fiber, particularly in a rural area where there's limited availability of these nodes, and the cost is prohibitive to build that many nodes in a rural area.
And we have gotten questions about, is this somehow related to mobility, to my cell phone? Do I need to change my plan? And the answer is no. They're two very different things.
Yeah. So for full transparency and honesty, Rob, I'm going to have you answer this question because we're going to get it again.
We plan to. Just kidding.
The question is, am I really eligible for fiber? I live way out in the boonies.
Eligible, it depends really where you are on the map. So quite frankly, we applied for what we thought we could build. Obviously there's homes beyond that. And like I said, we would like to get those areas built and then see where we're at with the funds and time and then proceed on. But really some of these drops that you have a home up a really long canyon, like I said earlier, it's just really expensive and really difficult to build. So some of that burden may have to be shared with the homeowner at some point. Right now, our focus is really on trying to get everyone we can off of that fixed wireless network and affect the most people we possibly can in a positive way. And so in order to do that, we have to focus the limited resources that we have on the communities and the ones that aren't 2 miles long.
Right.
So
the next question that came in is, do I have to get a new router?
Well, I think the answer is it depends. If you're a copper customer, the answer is yes. If you're a fixed wireless customer, the answer is maybe. It depends on what version of router that you currently have. We can utilize some of our existing Calyx Giga Centers, which is, I believe it's branded. But from a Wi-Fi perspective, if you don't have either a Giga Center or our new GigaSpire, which is what our router is called, I think just from an overall user experience, it would be best to make sure that we swap that out. There are customers who maybe are gamers who have different types of things that they want to use, and we can always work with those as well.
I think it's important to add that all of our internet plans come bundled with the managed Wi-Fi service. In order to take full advantage of all the features and benefits of the managed Wi-Fi service, you really do need to get into one of our routers in order to take advantage of that and for us to be able to help you with your network if something goes wrong.
for sure.
As a parent, having the opportunity to utilize parental controls is a pretty big thing. It's a pretty big deal.
So the next question that came in, pardon me, is I have a guest home on my property. Can I get fiber to it too? I'm within the orange area on the map.
Yes, so we are asking you to take service to each of those locations. And if so, the answer is yes. We can take a drop to your additional home on your property, whether that's a mother-in-law cabin or one you rent out or whatever the case may be. They just need to be aware that they have to purchase two separate services. If they're wanting to have an on-premise network, that they purchase one service from Silver Star and they share it between the cabins, they would need to consult us or perhaps have their own network to serve that second home.
Let's see. Thanks, Rob. Question came in about what can I do with 25.3, and I think we already addressed that. Certainly, if you're a minimal user, it should be fine. But if you're in a home with children and you're doing a lot of streaming or gaming or just a lot of work on the internet.
Can I comment on that, Eric? One thing I wanted to mention earlier is I think as time goes on, you're going to see more and more services continue on the internet. I think TV being a big one. We're already seeing that from some of the providers. The satellite-based providers have their own services that are over broadband or over internet technology. And the other thing that can be done is it may be a way for you to save costs. You may have a fairly high fixed bill from a satellite provider that maybe is $100 to $150 a month. you may be able to pare that back to, say $50 by picking the channels you want and the packages you want and having them stream. So when you think about, maybe picking a higher speed, there might be a tremendous amount of savings if you redo your TV plan and really get the content you want at a lower price.
That's a great point. Thanks, Alan.
I think the other thing that is important to note is that the 3 upload, we saw a huge spike in the upload needs when students were all learning from home. And so 3 is really not sufficient if you're doing a lot of uploading of homework or if your work requires you to upload. So those are some of the things to consider when you're taking a package.
I think also the number of devices. I think we often forget our kids have a phone and an iPad and a laptop possibly, and so does mom and so does dad. And I mean, the device count just gets ridiculous inside a home. So all of those are basically causing noise and eating up bandwidth. So think about the whole family experience, right? Do I have to wait for my daughter to get done watching something before I can watch something? That all goes away with fiber. And so you need to buy the right package that works for you. If you have a lot of gamers or family members that are watching video or whatever, that really depends on what package you want to purchase.
Yeah, go ahead, Noah.
Sorry. I was going to say, speaking of device count, a lot of new appliances are Wi-Fi enabled. TVs have been Wi-Fi enabled for probably 4 or 5 years or more. And they have onboard apps on the TV. So don't think of just the iPads and the iPhones and the Android devices in your home. There are many other devices that are Wi-Fi connected and will be in the next decade. I'd say any new appliance largely that you will buy, if it's of any significance, a washer, dryer, and they can actually do remote diagnostics of those appliances over the internet without having to have a service call, maybe know what's failed in the device. Sorry, Barb.
No, I was going to say that's another plug for our new router. You can set up multiple networks. You can have one for work, one for your guests, one for your appliances. All those types of things you'll be able to do on this new router.
To that point, Alan, you also have, in my home, I have Wi-Fi connected cameras and sensors.
Yeah.
And now they have smart refrigerators that tell you when you need to order milk. So
Yeah, some refrigerators can tell what the actual expiration date of a product is inside the fridge. If your sour cream's gone bad 2 days ago, you can look it up on your phone and find out if you need to buy some when you're in the market.
Question came in around parental controls. Are they included with my monthly internet service? So there is a basic parental control that allows you to turn off the timing of the internet for your children. So if you want to shut it off at 6 o'clock for dinner and shut it off at 10 o'clock for bedtime, there are an additional layer of parental controls. It does cost extra. It's $9.99 a month. But what that does is allow you to control the exact content that you want your children to see or not see, which is really something that people have been asking for. Let's see here. If my driveway is really long, will I incur some construction costs? And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with what you talked about earlier, but.
Yeah, so if we can build to your home within the area, you will not incur any construction costs right now. So the goal is to get you signed up now and try to get there with a plow as soon as we can.
Thanks, Rob. Please submit any more questions. We have about 10 minutes left during the session here. So if anyone has any more questions, please feel free to submit them.
One thing I was thinking about is cleanup along the county right-of-ways that we didn't really cover or no questions were asked. What we've advised our contractors to do is make the roadways passable as soon as they cross them. Once we come back, we'll roll everything down, smooth it out, remove the rocks, put the best we can, and then put some new gravel to try to restore those driveways. We are boring all hard surfaces, so if a homeowner has a paved driveway or whatever coming out to the county or state highway, we bore underneath those so that we don't disturb it. But our expectation is to keep those crews moving as quickly as possible without making it so you can't get out of your home. So there will be, when the plow goes through, it's pretty disruptive. It pulls a pretty good chunk up and makes a mess of your driveway for a little bit, but they are cleaning those up as they go through them. Making them passable is what I would call it.
Right. So as we go through this process, we'll be posting updates on our social media sites on Facebook and also on our news and blog page at silverstar.com. So if you want to check back, we usually have updates weekly, if not every couple days. So you can get lots of information there about the progress of this project.
I think it's important also, every Tuesday you're on the radio giving updates, and we provide all of our stakeholders, EMS, the schools, with the exact locations of where we're doing construction to ensure that they are able to get kids picked up for school or, the medical assistance if needed.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm not sure, you will probably understand this question better than I. The question is, your boxes are big. Can a homeowner pile snow on it? Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, yes, they can. Obviously, we would ask that you be careful around them because they are expensive. There is a post behind it for that very reason, so that we're able to find them if we have a trouble, or if for some reason we need to. I would prefer you didn't pile snow on them, but no, it's not the end of the world if you pile snow on them. So,
one question that we didn't address, but I think would be a good one, is, Rob, maybe the difference between the Afton installations versus the out of Afton?
That's a great question. So yes, our existing customers within Afton proper and over by the high school and the junior high school currently have copper service. As part of the grant, we are overbuilding that with fiber also, or building that with fiber, and there's conduit in place existing. So the construction is much different than out in these rural areas like Auburn and Grover and Smoot, where we'll be utilizing that conduit that exists to pull the fiber in. It will take a little bit of coordination in order to potentially pull them out of service, pull the fiber in, and connect them. So as you're seeing crews around, the construction will look much different in Afton. Really, we're removing our copper pedestals. We're putting vaults or handholds over the top of those facilities to access our conduit. We'll be jetting fiber in that existing conduit all the way to your home. That being said, we are running into some situations where there is crushed conduit or it's been hit from a previous incident, and those will require some digging to repair those so that we can pull the fiber to the home. So
you used the word jetting fiber. Could
yes.
you explain maybe what that means, and maybe also the different ways in which we put fiber into the ground, because we have boring, trenching, and plowing.
Sure. So all of our fiber is in a conduit, and for two reasons: protecting it and also ease of installation. Obviously, fiber is expensive to splice, if you don't know that. So you want to minimize the cuts. And so every time you cross a utility, cross a ditch, cross a driveway, or whatever the case may be, you have to figure out the whole reel of cable. These come in 20,000-foot reels. And so it can be very time consuming to figure it every time you cross underneath one of those. So to simplify the installation process, we just installed conduit. Comes on those big orange plowable reels. It's called PlowCon. And we just plow that in, bore it in, trench it in. So if it's a hard surface, we bore it in, which consists of drilling underneath or drilling through the earth from one side of the hard surface to the other. The other is plowing in, where they use a tooth on the back of a piece of equipment, typically a cat or a wheeled piece of equipment, where it uses vibration and it just pulls it through the earth and installs that conduit. So we run the conduit through what's called a plow chute, and it automatically installs it in the ground as they drive. Trenching, obviously, if there's too many utilities or whatever the case may be, it's difficult. We can't get a plow in there, then we have to open trench it, which is just a backhoe or a trackhoe, a mini X or something. So once that conduit's installed and the path's there, they come back with a piece of equipment and they install that fiber inside that conduit. So they'll jet that in using air pressure and some assistance from the machine. So.
Great. Thanks, Rob.
Yep.
So you guys want to talk a little bit real quick about some of the other projects we have going on? I think we may have some viewers from outside of Star Valley. And so I think just so folks know, we have another project. The city of Driggs in Teton Valley was awarded a CARES grant award as well. So we have a simultaneous project happening in Teton Valley. And we may even have some folks watching from other parts of Star Valley, like Alpine and Freedom and Star Valley Ranch. And I guess the message here is we've got to get these CARE grants done now, but we're absolutely going to get to the rest of you as soon as possible.
Yeah, we don't want any of our customers to feel neglected or forgotten about. You're right, the CARES grant in both Wyoming and Idaho is unprecedented.
Yeah.
I've been at Silver Star for going on 19 years and I've never seen anything like this before. It's an exciting time for our community, and so we felt like it was really critical to take advantage of that when it came up. But we do have plans. We have other projects lined up for other areas, and some of them unfortunately have been pushed back due to resource allocation, but they're not forgotten about. We've talked a couple of times about ACAM. It stands for Alternative Connect America, and those are additional funds that require us to build out to certain areas, eligible areas, through 2028. We don't intend to take that long. We know that's a long time to wait, but we get together and we plan these projects out every year, and we'll be getting together soon to plan out and prioritize our projects for 2021 and beyond.
Yeah.
And so I guess the moral of the story for me is that you're not forgotten about if you're not in the Upper Star Valley or Southern Star Valley or downtown Driggs and Cottonwood Corner area where our other grant is. We know that everybody is anxious for fiber, and we're excited to bring it to you.
Yeah, but we've put everything into this. We've got a lot of boots on the ground, Silver Star employees, contractors, and none of them are dragging their feet. So we have about 4 minutes left. So if there are any other questions, please feel free to chime in now. I guess while we're waiting to see if that happens again, go to silverstar.com, click on the Fiberhood Finder. If you haven't already and you're in the grant area, and please submit your information so that we can get the path drawn from the road to your home to be able to do these fiber drops as soon as possible. So with only a couple minutes left, I just want to, question just came in. When do I need to sign up by? Yesterday.
As soon as possible.
We really would like it if people could, because there's other work that has to be done, but we can't finish the work until we can get to your home. And so as much as possible, we want people to sign up by the end of September. So it's very urgent that you do that. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, don't wait. Please give us a call or visit us on silverstar.com and go into our chat, or submit your questions on our contact us page.
I think it'd be appropriate to thank all the many supporters of this as we went out for the grants. Lower Valley Energy, Fiberbar, the towns, the municipalities, the town of Afton. They've just been fantastic. We've had multiple letters of support from the school district, from Star Valley Health, And we're just so appreciative of everyone.
Our local politicians, I mean, really helping us
Absolutely.
get this rolling, and just to emphasize the time it takes to permit and design. They worked with us with some very loose design prints to make us able to start quickly once we got that grant. So we really appreciate it.
Thanks to the Wyoming Business Council
Wyoming
as well.
Business Council.
Handled the applications.
We were one of 10 companies in the state of Wyoming that was awarded about $86 million. So we look forward to what this will do for the state of Wyoming as well.
Absolutely. Well, with that, it's almost 6 o'clock, so we appreciate everybody's participation. Please sign up as soon as you can, and please stay on the lookout for updates and information about the status of the project. And with that, thank you, everyone. Have a great evening and a great rest of your week.